Salutations, humans! And I know you read the title, but just in case. It's not BNHA costumes for Halloween. No. It's BNHA characters in their Halloween costumes for Halloween. Because why dress up as an anime character when you can dress up as an anime character in their Halloween costume so that no one will be able to recognize you? Let's start with Deku because his costume is cute and because you guys said so. First, I got a giant piece of white fabric that turned out to be not big enough, but oh well. I first cut it into a square and then I folded it into quarters like whatever I show here. Next, take a nap on your fabric and when you wake up, mark the end of your arm with a paper clip because you can't find your pin cushion. Then ideally, you would cut it into a circle just like how you cut a circle skirt, but upon realizing that I didn't have enough fabric for that, I just cut off the very edge and rounded the corners to deceive people into thinking it's actually a circle. Then since this costume is kinda choppy, I'm gonna show you how I distress the fabric. First, you're gonna wanna prepare it for the procedure. Then if you notice your fabric still looks a bit nervous, whisper comforting things to it. You won't feel a thing. Then take your scissors, scrunch up the fabric, and chop it to your heart's content. Chop it how you would chop up chives or something. Ha! I bet you thought I was gonna say how you chop up your enemy's intestines, but I guess if you have more experience in that than chives then. Once you're done, cut out a hole in the middle around the size of a guillotine hole, which means it should be big enough to fit a head. Before going to the next step, I recommend you go to darkened rooms and just stand there with this on. It's not that scary, but it could be unsettling. Why am I dancing? Moving on, now it's time to make the hood. To make it, you can use either a pattern or trace a hooded thing you already own like I'm doing here and cut out the pattern pieces. I'm doing this 3-piece hood because I like to I like how it looks. Then sew or glue your hood pieces together. And if you're wondering why I'm hand stitching instead of using a sewing machine, I could lie to you guys and say it's because I wanted a more rustic handmade look, but I won't. And the truth is that it's just I didn't feel like switching out the thread on the sewing machine. Also remember to hem the edges, but you know, only if you feel like it. And when you're done with your hood, pin it to the hole in the giant fabric, right sides together, and sew it on. And now you're done with the base, or as I like to call it, a hooded barber cape. Why do I call it a barber cape? I don't go to the barber. Time to decorate. To make the face, I sketched out some pattern pieces and then traced and cut it out of felt, but other methods are painting or fabric marker, which I would do, but then I suddenly remembered that I have no coordination. And then there were freckles, but I didn't feel like cutting out 8 tiny circles by hand, so I was like, what if I use a hole puncher? And it worked! Sometimes some parts get stuck on felt, but that's fine, you can cut it off, but you also need to be stupidly strong to be able to punch it out without hurting, and I'm only one of those things, but it's okay, my hand survived doing it 8 times. Punch out a white piece and put it in between. I'm sorry, this reminded me of Oreos. Anyway, separate the pieces and lick the white part off, or arrange the pieces on the hood, and while you arrange them, you may realize that you lost like 4 of the circles. Now you have to punch it again. And honestly, in any circumstance other than this, I'd be happy to punch something twice. Anyway, I sewed the face on because I couldn't find my fabric glue. Now, Deku has 3 different patch patterns, and honestly, just make them with whatever you can find around you. I used normal fabric as a base, but I used random things to make the patterns. Like here, I painted pieces of masking tape purple, then I taped it on as stripes. Here, it's pretty much the same concept, except for this one, I cut strips of paper and double-sided taped it on. Lastly, for this one, I just used a fabric marker for the pattern. You can use whatever you want for these. Paint, dye, fabric, human skin, paper, tape. I'm running out of materials to list. Then yes, this patch. And I don't like this patch. I don't understand it. Why is it a number 9? Does anyone know? Why is this the color scheme? For some reason, I very dislike it. So basically, to make it, I just cut a circle of black fabric and I cut red paper in this shape and taped it on. Then he has this All Might patch on his costume, and I was gonna make fun of him for that, but I realized that would be hypocritical coming from a girl whose Batman obsession is probably as concerning as his All Might obsession. Anyway, as you saw, I sketched out the pieces and then I traced and cut them. Why are my siblings shout? Anyway, I used the felt and hair to cut out. Did I just say felt and hair? I used felt to cut out the face and hair pieces. I also cut eyebrows, eyes, and a mouth, and an advantage of this method is that you can make him do really funny faces. When you're finally done laughing at it, attach the pieces permanently, either sewing or gluing depending on whether you lost your fabric glue again. Now, you can attach all the patches to the fabric, and for all of them, I sewed it with 2 threads in the needle to make the stitches more prominent. Also, I asked a bunch of Instagram humans for patch suggestions to put in the back, and you guys gave really good suggestions. It's just that I was way too tired at this point, but don't worry, I'll sew them on eventually next year. So for the slit, I pinned the area that I need so I would know where to cut, but I feel like my tutorials get a bit boring sometimes, so I like to find unorthodox methods of doing things sometimes to make it more fun for you. So yeah, I tried using the knife and it didn't work. It's so dull. Like if I were to try and stab someone with this knife, which by the way, I don't stab people. But if I did, it wouldn't work because it probably wouldn't even go through their clothes. So yeah, I ended up using boring scissors anyway. Sorry to disappoint you guys. Then I sewed on some stitches over the slit because I don't know, that's what the picture has. To make the bow, I was really happy that I had green ribbon, but you can always use strips of fabric. I did the stripes using tape again. Then I also used tape for everything else, like holding the neck part in place because I was getting tired. To make the bow, just watch what I'm doing here because I don't know how to explain. I tied a piece of yarn around it, then I cut and taped on more extra pieces to make the ribbon. There's also this cute pumpkin thing, so I just sketched it out and cut it out of cardboard and covered it in paper, then drew on the details, and you guessed it, I used tape again. Then I taped the whole bow to the neck ribbon. Then I thought I was done, but I realized he has this really cute hat, so I made a paper cone as a base, and then I also cut out a circle and glued it onto cardboard. Cut out the cardboard circle, and then I also cut off the tip of the cone. This will be useful later. Then I started covering it with fabric. I don't know how to explain what I'm doing, so I just hope the visuals are good enough. To make up for it, I'll tell you something funny. My friend thought I was good at physics and asked me to calculate the gravitational force in Minecraft. That's funny because I'm not good at physics. Also, can someone tell me how to calculate gravity with air resistance? Because of course Minecraft has air resistance. Once I finished wrapping the cone, I also wrapped the circle with fabric by taping the middle, cutting slits around the edge, and taping everything like I show here. Then since his hat has a bendy thing at the end, I took the cone again and then I just sewed it in place to look like that. I attached the cone to the circle, and for the final details, I cut strips of orange felt and wrapped it around, and the tiny hat is done! For the All Might pumpkin, take your brother's 9-year-old trick-or-treating bucket. Flip it to the other side. Then I stared at the picture, sketched out these face shapes, and cut them out of black paper. If you're one of those cool art humans, you can paint it directly on the bucket. But for me, I'm just gonna double-sided tape it. Then I sketched and cut out 2 carrot shapes from cardboard and covered both sides with orange paper. Carrot is one of my favorite vegetables. I then also double-sided taped the carrots, and the All Might bucket is done! I mean, yeah, it looks cool, but it feels weird because if I use it, it would be like my first time not using my purple pumpkin. Now it's time to put on the overly decorated hooded barber cape. I'm kinda really happy that I have almost the same kind of pants as Deku, even though that has no lasting effect on anything whatsoever. Also, what's Among Us? Can someone tell me, please? I want to play. So for the hat, there's probably better and more professional ways to attach it, but what I'm doing is double-sided tape. After spending far too long trying to peel off the double-sided tape, I stuck it on my head. Then for my face, why does that face sound so funny? I drew dots because that's how freckles work for Deku, I guess. And for the hair, I just decided to do double braids, and you can pretend that my hair is green. Actually, 2 years ago, I did dye my hair to Deku color. It's just that at that time, I didn't know who Deku was, or any anime for that matter. Should I dye my hair again? After doing my hair, I put on the hood, and here's the finished costume. I very love it, except that I will have to hand wash it. Actually, wait, no, I have to hand wash all my cosplays anyway. I think this costume is very cool, and the pumpkin is also very cute. But you know what would make it even better? A purple pumpkin, of course, because just in case you couldn't tell, I like purple. Next, let's do Uraraka, because once again, her costume is cute and I want to make a witch hat. To make that hat, I was trying to find something big enough to trace for the circle part of the hat, so I chose the electric fan. I traced the electric fan on the manila paper, then I cut it out. It still wasn't big enough though, so I cut it out a little bit bigger than the line. For the head hole, I traced a random hat that I found that I have never worn in my life. Then after cutting out the hole, I glued the whole thing to another layer of manila paper, but you can also choose to use a stiffer material if you want. For the middle, I kinda did this thing with the cutting out triangles, which will help when putting together the hat later. Then I measured the circumference of the head hole. I know it looks like I'm doing a bad job, but I promise I know how to use a measuring tape. Then I'm not sure how to explain what I did, but I don't have to because there are already hat patterns online that you should definitely trust more than me. Basically, I cut out the shape that will become the cone and can fit on the head hole, then I taped it together. Okay, so before I put it together, I want to make it black already, and obviously the most straightforward way is to paint it, but I don't think I have enough black paint, so my next option is to cover it with something black. So I was thinking, what's big and black that I can use? Can you guess the answer? No, silly. Not that empty void inside of you you're so desperately trying to fill. A trash bag, of course. So I took the trash bag and I promised Skeet and you I don't take plastic bags from the trash. Then I cut it open like a body and started covering the cone. And glue stick works surprisingly well on plastic. So I started by gluing a small section, then just went on gluing section by section, making sure to smooth it out on the other side. And when I reached the end, I cut off the extra plastic and glued the rest in place. Then later on, I cut off the extra plastic at the bottom. Then I basically did the same thing to the circle part of the hat, covering both sides. Now, you can put together your hat. Just glue the tab thingies to the underside of the cone, and I'm not sure how many of you are actually gonna be making this, but this is what mine looks like. Then her hat is a bit scrunchy at the point, so I thought, oh, it's paper, I can just shape it like that, but of course it doesn't stay in place. So instead, here's me doing a really bad job of showing you that I taped wire to the inside so that I could shape the hat. Then for the purple thing, I just cut a strip of purple fabric, then I taped it on. Then I cut and painted a piece of cardboard to make, guess what? A gold circle, because you can see it on the screen. Why am I? Now for her corset belt, I decided to use neoprene because I don't need to hem it and it's stretchy and I wanted to put in as little work as possible. So cut the length of it to be a bit smaller than your waist. Then I took some ribbon, but you can also just use strips of fabric and chop it into tiny pieces. Then fold them in half and pin them in place, 4 loops on each side, and then I sewed them. You can hand stitch or sewing machine if you finally feel like swapping out the thread and bobbin, which as you can tell, Then I was supposed to lace it up with a ribbon, but I ended up using a shoelace because let's face it, I haven't needed to wear shoes for the past 7 months. And oh, I wonder who this corset belt reminds me of. For her necklace, I cut a strip of red felt, then I got this tiny buckle with plastic rhinestones and I decided to use the gold side and slipped it on. Then I attached a tiny chain to the buckle. And the pendant is supposed to be a circle, but I didn't feel like doing that, so I slid on a star bead and spent an unnecessary amount of time deciding which end pendant I should use. But it's okay because I finally decided in the end. Once you've finished your necklace, wrap up your pistachio shells in some fabric. So I was just messing around with the fabric and stuff, and I think I came to a really cool idea. So as you can see, I tied it into a knot here, and then there's a bit pointed opening here. And as you can see, it's nice and compact, so I can carry it around everywhere. And now, whenever I'm in a situation where I need pistachio shells, I can just... Dun-dun-dun! And for the earrings, when I zoomed in really near, I realized it was bats with pearls, and I decided that was too much work, so I decided to use my Batman earrings. Maybe I should stop making fun of Deku for liking All Might so much. This is a shirt I already own, but it's more on the yellow side when her shirt should be more orange. So to fix that, I'm going to make that editing Zoe's problem. I just really don't want to have to sew another puff sleeve. Yashiro. Then I kid you not, I tried on like 4 different skirts until I decided on this one, which is the skirt from the intro, just inside out. I put on the corset belt, and then her shirt has extra details, so I was like, hey, what if I tie yarn on my arm? Hey, that rhymes. Then I realized it looked terrible and dumb, so... Then I was too lazy to put a clasp on the necklace, so I used the hair clip to hold it in place. Then I put on my earrings. Can you see the earrings, the bat? It definitely does not blend in with my hair. So I just realized she has a purple bow, but I don't feel like making it. So my solution is to pretend it doesn't exist. Then I tried to emulate her hair by tying my hair in a ponytail, then pulling out the thing until it looks like that. Wow, I would be a great hair tutorial human. Put on your witch hat and you're technically done, unless you're gonna make a puff sleeve top to match her, but I didn't, so the consequence is that it looked plain. So I put stuff on my wrist to deceive people into thinking I put in more effort than I actually did. Then after a while, I realized that the hair looked kinda dumb, so I decided to try it with my normal hair, and I like it a lot better. I don't look like Uraraka, but it's my costume, and I hit something. It's my costume, and I can do what I want. And wow, I am really bad at posing. Well, oh no, diddly darn. Bakugo. So to be honest, I'm only doing Bakugo because I like the accessories and because I know a lot of people like him. Like this one time, 2 of my friends were fighting over who got to cosplay him. And for the ears, first I stared at a bunch of templates online and then I cut out this pattern. It should fit against your head somewhat like this. Next, I traced it onto brown felt. I know most tutorials use fur, but I don't have any and I'm not gonna buy some for Bakugo. When you cut them out, they should look like an angry cartoon character's eyebrows. Then remember my Kohaku video where I said I was too scared to ask my mom to borrow the hair straightener? Neither do I completely forgot that I made that video, but anyway, I finally did, and I used it to shape the ears. Next, I traced it onto beige felt, and I know his ears are technically pink on the inside, but I like the look of brown and beige better. And when you cut it out, make sure to cut it out just a little bit smaller than the brown. As you can see here, I taped together the pieces because I honestly could not be bothered to do anything more. I used the hair straightener to shape the ears again because it's fun, then I saw a lot of animal ears online with earrings, so I was like, hey, that looks cool, so I added some to mine. To make a headband to attach the ears to, I just cut a strip of stretchy fabric and sewed it together. And then I put it on and pinned the ears in place. Is it a bad idea to put needles in your hair? Absolutely. Did you see what happened in my canal video? But then again, I never said I was a good example, so... Anyway, I stitched the ears onto the headband and now they're done! For the collar, I just cut a long strip of dark red felt. Then, I don't really know how to explain this, but I bent wire into this shape that you see and then I slipped it on. Then, I made a second wire thing and I slipped it on as well. These kinda work as locks, but very inconvenient locks as you can see me trying very hard to push in the other end. and I probably should have planned things out more. Then I got a piece of chain from an old necklace, then attached it to one of the wire things. So when I make cuffs, I usually use a toilet roll, but I didn't have one saved, so I had to pull one out, and that's actually how I rate tissue brands, by how easily I can pull out the cardboard. Anyway, I cut an opening in the roll, and then I cut it to the width of a cuff, and I actually recommend naming it after something or someone you dislike. This will come in handy later. Now either paint it black, cover it with black paper, or yeah, I don't have any other options, I'm just really tired. Now remember, when you name the cuff, think about it as you stab 2 holes in the center. If you're still not satisfied, you can try using other sharp objects. Then here, I'm trying to attach more of the chain from the necklace through the 2 holes, but as we all know, I'm nervous doing anything on camera, but it's okay because I finally got the chain in. But then there was a small problem because when I put on the cuff, the weight of the chain kept pulling it off, so then I decided to put on tiny clasps. Lastly, for the bandage, I just cut a long strip of some scrap white fabric to wrap around my arm. I don't know, he's just wearing a white shirt and black pants, so for Bakugo, I was mostly just interested in the accessories. So for the jacket, I'm just gonna use my Lance from Voltron jacket since it's close enough and it has a white thing, and I just don't want to have to make a whole new jacket. And in an attempt to make it look more like his jacket, I tried pinning part of the hood to the front, but I don't know if it looks good or looks dumb. Oh, I wonder where the accessories are. Well, they were right here. So here's me putting on the accessories, and also sorry about the jacket, but I actually found that someone already made a tutorial of it on YouTube, and any tutorial that isn't mine is probably more comprehensive and overall better. After taking a stupidly long amount of time to put on the cuff and collar, I wrapped my hand in the fabric. I just realized something. Don't you think it's weird that they sell headbands with like cat ears, rabbit ears, unicorn ears, but not human ears? Like just cut the ears of a human or make fake ones and stick them on a headband. Actually. Four eyes, it's time you meet your enemy. 4 ears, wait. 4 ears. I'm not gonna make a tail because I think I already put too much effort into Mr. I Bully Deku and go to bed at 8:42 p.m. Plus, you know, I'm pretty sure there's like at least 7 tail tutorials somewhere on the internet. And you know, despite what I said at the beginning, I do actually kinda like this costume. Wow, character development. Oh wait, I think I'm done with the video. I need to end with like a cool thing. What are you gonna be for Halloween? No, that's dumb. Farewell, humans!